Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Kyle Wright 425 podcast. I am Kyle Wright, the host of the Kyle Wright 425 podcast, and today I am joined by my older brother, Eric. Eric, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, you feeling like it's a good day to have a conversation. It's we've got a lot of data to cover.
We do. I think this is going to be a pretty interesting, list, because I feel like maybe mine are not what people are going to think, or maybe even close to what you've got. So.
I'd see. I'm really interested to see what you've chosen because, in a way, I think we kind of need to establish what we mean by villains, as far as what is
just in general.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Yeah. It is because we had a conversation where you were like, well, I thought you were talking mainly about like Marvel and DC villains. And I really wanted to branch out where it's like, no, like this is like, it could be a book, it could be a game, it could be a short story, it could be a TV show, like anything. Like it's whatever villain has resonated with you.
I even thought about like TV shows too. And that's another question. How long did this take you to get your 5, I guess?
Mine took me probably about 10 minutes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, because I that's something that's like, it resonates with me because, you think about it, a story works like this. You have a problem and you need to find a solution. That's basically the basis of any story. So it's like there's always a protagonist and an antagonist. So we're mainly looking at the antagonist, the one that is making our main character and or main characters. Yeah, the troublemaker.
Troublemaker of everything. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where it's like the list I chose was one of those things where like I really wanted to kind of go off the beaten path with a couple of things, because there's going to be one in particular that you're probably going to look at me and go, who's that? So
like with me being a little older, do you feel like maybe I have a little bit of an upper hand on you just because I've seen, done, video games, whatever than you have?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's possible because it's one of those things where it's like, you never know what like someone's true like interest is or thought is whenever you watch a movie, like, cause like the thoughts that we keep to ourselves, like when you watch a film, like not like, I think probably the same things every time I watch a movie, but I've never really brought it up into, someone's, thoughts. So, there's kind of like a closed door aspect to that where it's like,
Right.
you don't really like, you may find out where it's like, I probably have, a completely different list than what you probably would think. And it's like from
That's
older
what I was
stuff
wondering.
which mind you, it's really not, but a lot of my stuff is one of them in particular is like from something very, 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 very recent.
I feel like I told you last night that I think I could be completely wrong, but I feel like we have 2.
You think two of them are the
two,
same?
2 of them. Oh, that's right, guys. We didn't tell each other what we had or like play off of each other at all.
No, we have no clue. It's but we kind of, like I said, like you think that we probably have 2 that are the same.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see.
I feel like though, between the both of us, even though you're, like I said, almost 10 years younger than me, you have a lot of the same like interests, same knowledge, if you will, about, movies, video games, music, for the most part. I mean, we do differ in music a little bit,
Right.
but as far as that goes, like, you still have a lot of vast knowledge of that.
Well, yeah. I mean, and the thing is too, is like, just because like I took a route of filmmaking, like there's been times that you've brought stuff up to me where you're like, dude, like, did you know this? And like, I'm like, dude, like I had no idea. Like I got a new wrinkle in my brain, bro. Like, it's like, so,
Yep.
so, and that's actually something to know if you're listening to this. And if you did not know this, that every time you learn something new, you get a wrinkle in your brain.
Yep.
So if you didn't know that,
That's 2.
you just, yeah, you got to. So I don't know. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
So we're going to go like all the way through each one.
We're going to do one at a time. So I'll do one, you'll do one, or but whoever starts will start us off. So
Okay.
if you're ready, you can go ahead if you want to
Okay.
name off your first one.
And this is in like no particular order, correct?
No, and it's not
Okay.
a top 5. It's just 5 villains that have
I'm gonna
meant a lot to us
I'm gonna
or
go
that have
with
affected
the
us.
like weird one, I guess, first. That I feel like it's kind of the weird one.
I'm about it. I love it.
Okay. For anybody that's listening, I am 36 years old. So born in 83. And my mother and I kind of grew up together, so I saw a lot of the classics, if you will, and in my opinion, you know, with horror movies in general and kind of teen movies and stuff like that. So mine was John Bender.
John Bender, really the villain.
The Breakfast Club. Now, here is the reason
I
why.
love it. That's a really good answer.
Here's the reason. Okay, hear me out.
I love it.
Now, the reason why I say that is because he is the quote villain. He's the badass. He's the delinquent. He's the all. And the reason why I found it very interesting is because I guess the movie in general, if you really want to get down to it, he's not. Like, he is, but he isn't.
He's not like the typical villain.
The principal is.
Yeah, right.
And like that is one of my favorite movies. It's, I would say, probably in the comedy era, it is number one or at least top three for me. That's something so cool. That is a desert island movie for me.
So if you were on a desert island, the one movie you would take with you.
100%.
I think that's probably going to be a podcast we'll do, is that not just our favorite movies, but then like just change it up desert and be like, if desert island, like we can do like desert island movies, desert island, like, foods. Like I like that. That's really cool.
That is one of those movies I could damn near say every single line. Now, it's been a little while since I've seen it, but it's one of those I do watch kind of on a regular basis, if you will.
Is that it? Would you say that that's a movie that if you were flipping through channels, if we still had cable,
it'll stop right there
every time without a doubt?
Every time. Here's my issue with it though, on TV, if you will. Mother will agree. The swearing being cut out of the movie takes away the movie.
Oh, it totally ruins it.
And that doesn't always happen with a movie. Swearing can get kind of excessive. Me and you both kind of swear like truck drivers, but
we use things like commas, so it's like, right. Now for anyone at home is wondering, we're keeping it PG-13 because I plan on posting this on YouTube, so we're gonna see what happens. But that's just a little disclaimer.
But like that is one of those movies where I will still that's how much I enjoy the movie and I like it, that I will watch it when I had TBS. Like I enjoy it that much, but the swearing does make the movie. It's punchlines, it's emotional, and it's comical situations that the swearing actually takes place, I feel like.
Yeah.
And that's where it takes away from when somebody's dubbed over or bleeped out.
There's a part of me that, like, I know it's not this simple, but for instance, this is a very, very drastic example. So for instance, Halloween H2O, that was on it's on FX every year for like the 30 days of Halloween or like whatever, and it's like I think they show like all the Michael Myers or that's the same thing, all the Halloweens, all the Friday the 13th and all that stuff. But I'll never forget it. There was the moment in Halloween H2O when somebody comes to Jamie Lee Curtis's door and the door flings open and she sees them and they give her the news that basically Michael is at the college attacking her son. And in the movie, she drops an F-bomb, but it's quiet, kind of like like she's like, like this, like we need to go. The overdub, do you know what it is?
Oh no, go ahead.
What they overdubbed it with? Herf, and I can't, like, obviously you guys can't see our face, but like literally it was like, fuh. That's like what she did. They overdubbed it with, damn it. It was the worst overdub ever, dude. It took me out of the movie. I'm like, I can't watch this. I'm done. I'm gonna
know that in The Breakfast Club, actually, there is a scene where they get ready to cut to commercial, and it's, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank here. It's when John Bender is getting in trouble and scolded for something, and he leans over and he whispers the F word.
Yeah.
They didn't cut it out. It's literally right at the end. It was always like that. Always.
Oh my gosh.
Somehow, some way, nobody ever caught it. And then Emilio Estevez, when he sends him back for, he's like, "What are you doing? Get this thing out of here."
Yeah,
He's
right.
like,
Yeah.
I expected a little more from a varsity letterman. He gives him the finger.
Yeah.
They don't block it out.
Yeah, and it's so weird, like how they choose like what to keep and what not.
Things.
Yeah, maybe they were like, well, maybe no one will notice, but it's like obviously like two guys from Ohio noticed.
Movie. Yeah, I've seen that movie so many times. And okay, and so to get back on track with one of the reasons I picked him.
Mm-hmm.
This is gonna sound a little funny or whatever. Like when I was a kid, I wanted to be John Bender.
Really? That was your thing?
That was my thing. Like I there was something about him. Like he was like the cool kid, but he wasn't the cool kid.
Yeah, he was cool in his own right.
He was. And then at the same time, like I said, as a villain per se, where he was the bad guy, he was the bad kid. But at the same time, you find that's the whole point of the movie is obviously, you find out all of these kids are different, but the same and blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm not going to get too much into it, but
right.
It's one of those where you find out there's a reason why he is the way he is. And he does have like a soft spot. So he's really not the villain because he kind of is, I don't want to say a big sissy, but he's got a soft heart at the end.
Yeah.
And he realizes he doesn't have to be a hard ass all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like that was kind of cool to me to where it was like you got both ends of it, I guess.
Well, and to me, like that's what makes a great like villain is the fact that because there's going to be the one that I'll mention later that
So that was one of them I thought you might do.
No. It's honestly, I would have if I would have gone with the Breakfast Club, I would have gone with the principal because the reason I would have gone with him is because of the conversation that he has with the janitor, where it's like when they're having beers in the office, which I love that scene because it's like they're just done. Like, and they're just talking about stuff. And he's like, who'd you want to be when you were a kid? He's like, when I grew up, I wanted to be like whatever famous like person.
He's like, I'm trying to be serious here.
Right. It's like, because like when he brings up the thing of like, he's like, the reason why I want to say he said something to the effect of the reason why I'm so hard on these kids or the way that I do, or the reason I do what I do is because of the fact they're going to be running this country.
Or he said they're the ones that'll be taking care of me in the future. And the dude said, don't count on it.
Right. Right.
How did you take that?
I took that as when I was very young when I watched The Breakfast Club for the first time, so I really didn't get it. Like, because that's one of the things Mom always told me was that she's like they're all like all the kids, they're all the same. They're the same people. It's like when they like, because that's to me, I don't want to veer off, but it's like that's one of the things that made that movie so emotional was when Emilio breaks down talking about why he's in detention. And it's like when like just because it's like
he was a workhorse.
Yeah, and it was so what with that being said is that that scene, it kind of like, I don't know if I want to say like it hit me wrong, but it was one of those things where like I just didn't like the principal when I was a kid when I would watch it, where I was like, I don't want to watch the scene. I want to see them screw around in detention. But as I got older, it kind of made more sense. Like now that like I am an adult, I'm like, I'm pushing 30. Like, it's like I'm it's like that's the stuff that like it makes me think about that.
It does. And that's the thing is that that's why I said when you grow up, you realize Bender isn't the one that's the like quote unquote villain or bad guy. It's the principal.
Yeah. But still, even then, John Bender still is the negative force among all of them.
He is.
Now, I almost want to make an argument. Would you say, excuse me, I'm burping into the mic. Would you say we're having some brewskis?
Yeah, some
Pepsi. We're having Pepsi. Yes, that's it. Tall Pepsis.
Sweet Pepsis.
Now, could you make the argument, because this is kind of like the Judas mentality, where it's like people people look at like Judas, where it's like, well, Judas was a jerk. It's like, he betrayed Jesus, where it's like, right, but could the story or could the faith have been progressed if Judas hadn't, done what he did?
Right.
It's the same kind of thing with John Bender, where I'm not equating the two, but as far as like action, it's like, had John not taken the screw out of the door, been a hard ass, been a villain, they never would have gotten to that result,
because they would have not been able to move around, screw off, all of these things. That's what ended up making them. And I hate to say it, I really feel like the smoking weed scene had a lot to do with it, because they they risked everything to kind of like go get it.
Yeah.
And then Bender was the one who took the fall, even though Emilio was the one. It was okay. Yeah, we're veering off anyway.
Yeah. So, but
what I'm just saying is that
this is why I wanted to do this, because I knew that we would be able to, like go off on it. I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah, we can do this all day, guys. That's what I'm saying. Like, okay, so that was one of the probably like like monsterish kind of thing that was like probably my oddest one, if you will.
Okay.
So that, like I said, that being said, I just enjoyed the fact that you got both kind of out of that character.
Well, and that to me, like that's what a character should do, because like it's the same thing as like American Horror Story, where like for instance in Freak Show with Michael Chiklis's character, like he is which mind you, they're not nothing from American Horror Stories on my list, which ironically, which now I'm kind of mad that I didn't choose anything from that.
Me too. Oh my
God. Bloody Face would have been a great one, but
we can veer off. We've talked about this. Okay, anyways,
but no. However, I can either give you a villain that you absolutely know that you probably didn't even think about, or I can give you a villain that is probably one of the darkest things I have ever seen, and she could be anybody that would hold to a religious faith. So which one do you want? The one that's going to resonate home with you, that you're going to go, oh my God, why didn't I think of that?
Yes, or do that one.
You want that one?
I want that one.
100%. So my first villain.
Okay, wait.
Sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Let me try to guess it. Give me one hint.
Oh God.
See, we're gonna see how much.
Okay, it's a male.
Okay.
And because it's such a. I don't know if I can give you a clue, because you'll get it.
Give me the like 80s, 90s, 70s. What?
Oh, it was a early 2000s film. Like we're talking like when we lived.
Okay, give me the genre.
Oh, drama / action. I can't get any more specific than that. Otherwise, you're gonna get it. I'll be shocked if you don't get it with like a more deeper clue. Okay, all right. Actually, I'll give you one more clue. He wears red.
Not what I was thinking. Then I was thinking Ryan Reynolds and Amityville, or yeah.
No, that's a good one. He did that. That is a good one. Not on my list.
Bad rap for that, and I don't understand why, dude.
I think that's. I could go off on a tangent on that.
Let's not.
Okay.
Okay. Anyways, give it to me then.
Colonel William Tavington. Now, you probably don't know the name, but if you remember the movie The Patriot with Mel Gibson, the main bad guy, the one that he stabbed in the neck at the end.
You're talking, what's his face's dad from Harry Potter? Yeah,
Draco Malfoy. Yeah, Lucius Malfoy. Yeah, that guy is a fantastic actor.
He's a fantastic asshole in movies.
He is. Yeah. Well, because and the reason why I chose him was because number one, I love The Patriot. the Patriot was that one that you're like, well, I'm mad I didn't think of that.
That is a phenomenal movie, dude.
Yeah, it's now. I was 9 when that movie came out, and I watched that movie religiously when I was 9. There's no reason a 9-year-old should be watching anything about the Civil War.
There's no reason a 9-year-old has a span to watch a movie for 3 hours.
Yeah, it's just because like I remember like even like so a little window into our childhood / past. I remember when we took our trip to Canada, and when I woke up on the couch at grandma's, the Patriot was on because you threw it on to wait for me and mom to wake up. You had like an hour, like you woke up before an hour before we had to go. We weren't late or anything, but it was like you were like, yep, I was the one that woke everybody up. I threw the Patriot on. I timed it out. I knew when it would be time to wake everyone up and everything. So, but dude, there is nothing good about him. Like he is, to me, like he is
a pure evil.
Yeah. But the weirdest thing about him is that on the British side, though, he is the hero.
Well, sure.
But it was that like, I'm not going to get into the whole like country debate, but it's just like in that movie, like with the revolution or with the Civil War and everything that happened with that, it's like that, like he was such a malevolent force in the fact that it's like he killed Mel Gibson's son, like in front of him. Like there was no remorse for it. It was just like, this is just another day. I'm going to go back to my camp and have a coffee and I'm not going to lose one bit of sleep over it. And it's, oh my God, it was so good.
Yeah. That is very true in the fact of you kind of nailed it on the head there with on the British side, he was a hero.
He was. And a lot of the villains I have, some of them would be their only villains because of perspective. But what they're doing is horrible, but it's the idea, so it's to me, it's all about perspective.
I think there's I've got at least one more like that.
Yeah. So, but I mean,
I think that's at least one. It's gotta be. I'm going to be shocked. If it's not one of yours. I really am.
I've got actually 2 still that I am positive are on your list.
I don't think they are, man.
You don't? Okay.
I don't think they are, man.
But basically it's kind of like wrap that one because that's kind of like an easy. There's not a lot of depth to that guy, but it's just like because like that was just a villain that I was just blown away by. Like because like whenever I thought about that movie, I didn't think about Mel Gibson. I didn't think about. I think about him.
Do you know what? But do you know what one of my favorite lines from that movie is?
Oh, please tell me it's what I'm thinking it is.
At the end when he's on his knees and he has the bayonet thing and he says, my son's a better man than you before he shoves it.
Oh yeah, my sons were better men.
My sons were better men. Yeah,
yeah. And what I loved about it was that he grabbed the bayonet from when it was in the fire, so it was scalding hot, and he just shoved it into his neck. It was like it was so satisfying.
And can we talk about the one scene when the pastor or the priest gets shot and throws it up to Heath Ledger?
Oh my God, it was so good. That movie is perfect. Like I'm positive that is like one of the most perfect.
It this weekend.
I'm hands down. Like it's oh my God. It's The Patriot is like it's one of those movies that actually ironically CJ was actually one of the people that told me that I should watch it when we were 9. And CJ's another one of our brothers. We have a lot of siblings. But so
long story, anyways.
Yeah, but no, he like because I remember being like, I don't want to watch this movie. It's about old times,
exactly.
Like, and
I'm the same way.
And he looked at me and he said, no. He's like you don't understand. He's like you have got to see this movie. He's like it will change everything.
Can I add one to my list?
You want to add one?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We can add one. Okay.
And I know you're not going to know a lot about this one, and I won't get in depth with it too much. But anyways, so what do you want? So you said you were kind of done with that one. What do you want next from me? Do you want the other one that I thought it's going to be, or do you want, I guess, just the rest? Like I said, I don't think they're going to be what you think they are, though. I
kind of want to save that one for later. Like, okay. I'm not going to lie. Like, I kind of want to build to that because I don't want to like blow everything and then be done. But like, so
I feel like there's one that you really think it's going to be and it's not on.
I'll be pissed if it's not.
I think you're going to be pissed.
Okay. Right. Okay. All right,
so then, okay. The next one is The Predator.
Ooh, very good. The Predator. No, we're talking like Arnie Predator, and like we're
Correct.
Okay, we're not
Correct.
talking the like now. I dig Alien versus Predator, but don't get me wrong.
Well,
but
no, don't even give me that crap. I'm talking even the one with Danny Glover. The Predator. Even the second Predator was a good one. That was decent.
It was. Yeah.
It wasn't terrible. It was probably best Gary Busey movie he ever did, with the exception of
Black Sheep.
No.
If you guys have never seen Black Sheep with it's Chris Farley and David Spade. It is one of the best films ever created.
Seen Black Sheep, we can't be friends. We can't.
And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the 4 movies that we grew up on was Tommy Boy,
Yep.
Black Sheep,
Yep.
It, the original with Tim Curry, and then the 4th one, and I just had it and I am blanking right now. The 4th one was
Ace Ventura.
Thank you. Yeah, that was it. Oh my God. Yeah, which there's going to be a whole podcast about Jim Carrey. We're gonna do that.
Okay,
but
so
yeah.
going back to the Predator, the reason why I guess the Predator kind of stuck out to me a little bit was it was just like relentless.
Yeah, there was
no rhyme or reason, kind of.
There's no reasoning with him. You
don't talk to him.
That is the full mentality. Because I actually even one point thought to myself, I think I either asked Dad or I asked Mom at one point where I was like, does the Predator even eat? Like he has these teeth and he has all this stuff, but it's like he doesn't. It's like he's kind of like the Sniper Wolf from Metal Gear Solid. It's like he doesn't stop until his kill is done.
Well, no, the problem is that you don't see him eat. The problem is that it's not that he is hunting them for food, it's for sport.
Yeah, and especially even like the later movies like Predators, like when they made like the one about the guys that got dropped on the planets and stuff. Like, dude, it was like, we're the game.
Then
it's Even
then, it was still just like you said. Yeah, we're the game, and that one was still pretty good. I feel like that one was done pretty well. It's not my favorite remake.
No, I actually would make the argument that it could still be canon because of the.
Did you see the new one? I know that sounds stupid.
I didn't, and that
one is actually worth a watch.
I was let down when I found out that they mainly made it comedic. Because they had it's either is it Key or Peele that's in it? I can't remember. I always get them confused. The taller,
I forget.
It's one of the guys from Key and Peele. We'll say it's Peele. But when I saw it was like on a YouTube ad or something where he was in costume with one of the other guys and it was like, hey guys, we're so and so. We're here on the set of The Predator and we're having a great time. We're really excited for you guys to see this movie. And I saw it and I was like, dude, I'm like, he's in a Predator movie. This is going to be so awesome. I'm like, he's this, comedic guy. And it's like, he's going to be like stretching his ability as an actor. And it was pretty much like, no, like he was the same guy, except he was a badass. Like that was, but anyway,
I mean, it was all right, but no, even going back to, like the original Predator that was an interesting movie to me just in general, but obviously the Predator is the bad guy, the villain, you know, all of this, the monster. But what I liked about it, like you said, was there was no reasoning with him, anything, but he was just so brutal.
Yeah.
And
reaching into your back and just pulling your spine and skull out like it's over.
Yeah. Your whole, exactly. So I don't know. That one was a childhood kind of favorite of mine, if you will.
Yeah.
That was, and I don't even consider that like a horror movie. Do you consider that a horror movie?
I consider it a creature movie. Like, because
see, creature can be, I don't know, but like, do you consider that a scary movie?
No, it's not a horror movie.
Like,
I'm sure
that more like a sci-fi, right?
Yeah, it's because there's so many movies that like you could say like, well, it's like from the appearance, it's a horror movie. Excuse me. Like it's kind of like the mentality of like The Watchmen. The Watchmen, people went and saw that movie because they thought it was a superhero movie. It's not.
It's not.
It does have superheroes in it, but the thing is, it's a whodunit. It's
Right.
you know, it's so it's like it's kind of that mentality where it's like, you know, the Predator has this alien, this monster, this, you know, thing. It's this unrelenting force, but in the same hand, it's like it's not a horror movie, it's a war movie.
Right.
You know, it's that's it. It's a horror or it's a war movie. You know, it's that type of thing.
Okay. Yeah, that's absolutely. You're right. So that was my next one. Predator was probably just one of the most brutal ones, and as far as like a like you said, non-horror type thing. So yeah.
Okay. This next one is one that you have not been able to see its full arc yet, and there will be no spoilers. However, because I love the actor and I loved what he did with this and the mentality that this character had is Higgs from Death Stranding.
Really?
Yes, and this all comes down to the perspective things, and this is where it gets
All right, guys,
really.
I've only played, so I've had the game. We bought it the same night, like
literally the same night it came out. Yeah.
Early actually. I just had a baby. Well, I didn't, obviously, but just had a baby. But so I played it for a little bit, but I'm only about 3 chapters in, so I haven't seen all of it yet, so that's why he's not giving any spoilers.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna
too much about it if any listeners have played or playing it.
Yeah, no, Higgs is a character that first and foremost, the very first moment that Higgs introduces himself to Sam, which is Norman Reedus' character, he first off flexes his power to him, like he lifts up the ground and has these like pedestals that he lifts up for him to make him higher than Sam is, which is kind of like his mentality is I'm better than you. Like it's like I have the power to elevate myself. And he this is actually kind of a fun fact thing. This is Hideo Kojima is a genius because
the game is amazing.
It is. It's just Hideo Kojima worked on this game for 5 years. Just as the game, I'm pretty sure it was like 5 years, but he's had the idea for even longer. He didn't even write anything down, I think, for like 6. And he had everything in his head and knew exactly how he wanted to do it. He had all the characters figured out. Higgs introduces himself to Sam and he says, "The name is Higgs, the particle of God that permeates all existence." Here's the crazy part. Higgs is derived from the true scientific theory of the God particle. That is actually a real thing. It's a part. I don't know too much about it. I've only researched.
Boson?
Yeah, it's the God particle that they have theorized that exists, but that has not been found yet.
Kidding. Okay.
So Higgs named himself that because of his power that he has to control and teleport, is that he's able to go anywhere. But Higgs's mentality is that he wants to see the entirety of existence, not humanity, existence. We're talking everything in the universe void of it, basically to be extinct. Because his mentality is that he's like humanity has about 100,000 years left tops. He's like, why wait? He's like, let's just end it now.
Wow.
He basically has the power to control the dead, like with the BTs and everything that you interact with. Like it's terrifying. Like there was a couple of times that I played that I thought that I was going to have like a normal delivery mission, and then something happened where Higgs comes out and he's just like, oh, well,
Surprise.
He's like, man, I was only planning on there being one of you. I guess we can bend the rules a little bit. And he pulls up this is not a spoiler. It's like halfway through the game, but like he pulls up a BT. It's what they call a catcher. And it's this ginormous lion that comes out of the ground, and he looks up and he's like, he looks hungry. He's like, the only thing you got to do to get out of it is just to not get eaten. Sound like fun? Of course it does. Like, it's like, he's such a cynical bastard.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
You know, so, but it's Troy Baker, you know, but that's, I loved it because that was kind of like the most intense as far as like, I've never seen a villain that wanted the entirety of existence, like of the universe, to cease to exist. Like that's his goal. Like he wants to be sure the Death Stranding can finish. Like that's his thing. So that's why I chose Higgs. But that was just I loved him as a character. Like I've watched all of his cutscenes like 20 times. Like it's like just
really,
yeah. That's something that I will actually have playing in the background at work while I'm working. is I'll listen to his, like, I love Troy Baker's voice and I love what he did with that character. So, but yeah, that's
Okay.
so, but yeah, so that's not my first two. So you've had your first two. So what is your third? What is your third villain? What's the next one?
All right. So I'm going to go with the one that I think it's got to be, dude.
It's got to be. Okay. Okay.
It's the Joker.
Heath Ledger.
Yes.
Yes. Yep. And it's that we can, and this is, we're knocking off both of our next ones. So, okay.
Okay.
What was your reasoning for choosing Heath Ledger as the Joker? That specifically that anarchist Joker.
Not because he's dead.
Right.
Let's if anybody is thinking because it is he died that he got these awards and all that. No, like I would have expected that if he didn't.
If he now, would you make the argument that the Joker was as good as it was because he passed away, or do you think it still would have had the lasting impression it did with him being alive? That's kind of an off-topic question, but I don't think
Say that again.
Like, for instance, people revered the Joker not only for his performance, but the fact that it was Heath Ledger's last like full performance that he was able to do.
I'm pretty sure his last performance was he played what's his face in The Doors, Jim Morrison.
No, he played Bob Dylan.
Oh, did he? Is that
Yeah.
what it was?
So what happened was that so he got done with The Dark Knight, and then he moved on to work on this movie about Bob Dylan, and they basically what they did was it was a really weird movie. I've never watched it, but
Never seen it either.
essentially what it was about was that Heath Ledger portrayed Bob Dylan in this kind of like weird, almost like fantasy kind of world. And whenever he walked through this mirror, he would end up in a different dimension. And what they did was it was really creative, was that Christian Bale and a couple of other actors portrayed Bob Dylan in the other dimension. They had gotten all of Heath Ledger's shots done of him outside of the mirror. So it was this kind of idea that when he walked through it, he changed. So they kept the same mannerisms of Bob Dylan and did everything. But technically that was his last film, but The Dark Knight was the first movie or the last movie he made that he was completely in. He finished that before he died.
So I guess more than anything was there's a lot of things like we could probably talk about this for hours, but to keep it kind of short and sweet, I'll say a couple things I feel like, but number one, like, cause he does have a poster right next to me that I can see.
Yeah. Heath Ledger's down here. Yep.
So that is actually like one of those, like even something of that nature, like that is tattoo worthy to me.
Yeah.
That is something that I feel strong enough that I would tattoo that on me.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
Heath Ledger's Joker.
Yeah. Corey Taylor actually has him on his back, I think on his back of his leg.
Really?
He has his tattoo. Yeah.
So one of the reasons is number one is it doesn't look like Heath Ledger. Like it and it's not
He
that
doesn't.
much makeup.
This is
Like as far as like as like prosthetics and thing, you know what I mean, to like morph his face. It's basically scar tissue on his mouth, some teeth, and then the rest is just literally makeup for the most part.
somebody made a very, very good point about Heath Ledger, and they said Heath Ledger did not so much become the Joker as much as he disappeared completely. There was like when I heard that Heath Ledger was going to be the Joker, I was like, this movie is going to suck. I genuinely said that when I saw the
Thought
teaser
the same
pictures
thing myself. Yes, I thought the same thing myself, and it was just weird to me because he was this kind of almost like teeny bopper actor.
Yeah.
This pretty boy, like, you know, and it's like, okay, dude,
Yeah.
you're gonna be the Joker. This is gonna be dumb.
Well, and he even said too, and I know one of the last interviews that he ever did was that somebody asked him, like, when he was trying out for the Joker, like, how hard was it? And he said, dude, he's like, I met with Christopher Nolan, and he's like, I knew exactly what I wanted to do.
Yeah,
And yeah,
he knew
it's
right
like,
away.
Yeah. And it was the fact, like, he knew, like, Heath Ledger, A Knight's Tale, knew what he
And
wanted to
things
do
I
with.
hate about you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's just, and oh my God, it's wild. So, but yeah, so yeah.
So there was that, and then his voice.
There's nothing about his voice that's Heath.
No.
It does not sound like him.
And I mean, I know an actor does things for roles and, you know, all these things, but at the same time, that was I don't even know how to explain it, because people that have accents or from different countries, like Hugh Laurie in House,
Yeah.
you can hear when, excuse me, you can hear when he's in House, he's got a slight, almost like lisp.
Yeah.
And he deepens his voice a little
He has to
bit
talk like this to be able to get his
to
like
be able to
yeah.
get it. He's got such a thick accent that I never knew that. And when he was on Friends, I never realized it till years later. He was on, sitting next to Rachel on the plane, and that's his real voice.
What's really funny was that somebody commented on you can find that clip on YouTube, and I hope to God it's still the top comment that's on there, was that he said when Friends first came out, somebody thought to themselves, who's this British jackass, like, you know, giving Rachel hell? Now it's, who's this dumb biatch thinks she is talking to Dr. House that way? Like, it's like, so it's like, it's crazy, like how it all changed and everything. Like, it's like,
so that was definitely one of them, was his voice. Now, I don't know if that was one of the things for you.
Yeah, it was, to me, like what blew me away about him, and I actually found this out in preparation for this, because I was rewatching some of the scenes and stuff, and was watching people react to it for the first time, watching the interrogation scene between Christian and Heath. And apparently when they were on set, they had a conversation before they went into that scene. They knew their lines, they knew everything. And Christian was like, okay, he's like, so how do you want to do this? He's like, because I need to get physical with you. And Heath said, hit me. He's like, do not hold back. He's like, I want you to break my face. He's like, you have to hold nothing back. So I think the only impact that's not real in that entire scene is when he slams his head into the glass. I think that like they had like dummy glass, or because legally they can't smash somebody's head into glass. But the whole time, like when you're hearing that like impact on him, like that aggressive, like that like punch sound effect, they probably didn't really need to add much in post.
Wait, the glass, you mean the table?
No, it's when remember when Batman goes over and he pushes the chair under the door handle, that way Gordon can't get in. He grabs him, I think, by the neck and slams his head into the glass and breaks it.
Oh,
I think that's the
right.
I think that's the only thing in that scene that was not real, because like I said, legally, like they can't, they would get sued. Like there's unfortunately there, like, which I mean, not unfortunately, it's like you have to follow rules, like the way people don't get hurt. But but yeah, so like that's like Heath did not hold back on that role. He was like, and I think that's what makes it last more as like a legendary thing, was that it's like he just, I mean, and it's the fact that like how sadistic he was in the, like when Batman grabs the chair and he runs over and he's laughing at him like, oh, look at you go. Like, he's like, let it loose, man. He's like, you literally have nothing to threaten me with. He's like, you can't break me.
You can't reason with people like that.
No, it's what did Alfred say when he was like, some men just want to watch the world, burn. Yeah. It's, oh my God.
All right. So what was your next one then?
Oh man, I got to think about what I want to go with next. So, okay, so I got to go down the road. So we got rid of that one. That one's done. Okay, I've got two left.
Yep.
I'm going to save the one I think that we can talk about a lot for last. The next villain that I think that was one of the most horrendous people, just people, that was ever portrayed, not the actress, but the character that she played. She did a fantastic job, and her name is leaving me. I should have remembered it for this, but do you remember the movie The Mist?
Yeah.
Mrs. Carmody, the religious girl, like the Christian woman in that movie.
Oh, yes.
That was, because The Mist was such an interesting movie that it was like, the idea of, because that movie has made me think of that too. Like when I've gone to a department store just to grab milk, and like, what if something happens and I get trapped here?
Yep.
And like the people that you're around, because while she was nuts, like she was kind of known as like the town, like conspiracy theorist or town, like religious zealot or whatever. when you throw humans into a situation like that, their true colors come out. And it's like it's that fight or flight. And the fact that she gained a following, she was preaching to them. She was like all that, almost to the point that it was the idea of who can we sacrifice to the mist next? That way the bad stuff go away. Bad stuff goes away. And it was just like, dude, like she was so evil. Like it got to the point that like I actually almost didn't finish the movie because of her. It was that bad. Like
Really?
it was. Of course, obviously the ending to the mess, I don't want to ruin it for anybody that hasn't seen it, but like, it's still one of the most like difficult, like it's not a movie that I've watched. I will watch a movie at least 5 times if I like it. I liked The Mist. I've only watched it 3 times. I will not watch it anymore because it's that hard to get through. That's not a movie that gets better. Like as it progresses, it gets worse and it gets worse and it keeps getting worse. And then it ends and you're like, why did I even watch this? Like, this is like horrible.
But they just,
yeah, right. It's like, but
yeah.
but it's so funny that we're packaging up that film and just into that, but like, no, like she was actually one of the first ones that came to my mind. Like when I was thinking about villains that I was like, dude, like she is horrible. Like it was the fact that she literally manipulated and used everybody in that department or in that grocery store that she could to basically see, like to serve her goal of what she wanted to convert, quote unquote, everybody. Mm-hmm. And it just made everything worse. Like them, like stabbing that army kid, like in the stomach, like 3 times. And then they crowd surfed him out to like that ginormous monster and it ate him. And it was like, dude, like, how can you even think that, like, why would you do that? But they're scared. Like I think it was Thomas Jane said it in that movie where he was like, when you take away communication from people, when you turn out the lights, you scare the hell out of them. There are no more rules. Like it's like that's why I chose her. Like I thought Mrs. Carmody or Miss Carmody or whatever her name was in the movie. Like I thought that was a really interesting villain. It was something that like, I mean, it's Stephen King. So all
right. Do you want the one that I think you think is on my list, but it's not?
Go for it.
Same movie.
The Mist?
No.
Okay. Wait.
Same. Something that you think is going to, okay. Henry Bowers.
Henry Bowers, dude. He's not on my list.
It's not Pennywise.
It's dude. Henry Bowers.
Okay. Side note, guys. The original It movie, even though it's what I find out now, people say is corny, but that movie terrified me. That was actually the only like genre or horror movie genre that scared me or made me feel any kind of way other than like, oh, this is kind of cool or anything. I don't know what it was. It was Tim Curry's acting that did it.
It's so good. It's spooky, dude. Like it
was, and that was the only movie that got to me, and it was a made for TV movie.
It's like when you look at the source material that it was based from, where it's like, had they done a rated R version with Tim Curry, it would have been perfect.
Yeah.
Would have absolutely been perfect. I'm not taking anything away from Bill Skarsgård, but like, it was just
my God.
One
of those, for some reason, I mean, I grew up with Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, and Head, all this stuff, and Pennywise was the one that got me. But anyways, Henry Bowers, the reason why it was Henry Bowers and not Pennywise was I feel like he is more of the villain, the bad guy in the sense of he was a human being and he was just a foul human being.
Yeah. That's actually one thing that both iterations of that
Didn't
story.
change.
No, it
Did not change.
It was because the only thing they really didn't do in the original was carve Henry's name on Ben's stomach. That was kind of like the one thing where like when you read the book, you're like, oh my God, that's horrible. And like they alluded to it in the original, but it didn't get to happen.
And I think the new kid, both actors did a really good job. The new kid with, again, being rated R and being able to swear, and that whole like swear factor kind of makes it. Mm-hmm. He did incredible.
Yeah, he was.
That was such a good portrayal of just a pompous teenage prick.
Yeah. He's there's nothing redeemable about him in any way. Like
and that's why I feel like it's more of him than Pennywise. Pennywise is this entity, if you will. Like he's this thing. He's this monster. That's what he does.
Yeah. Would you expect anything less from him?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Henry Bowers is a 15-year-old kid that's just a terrorist, basically.
Yeah. And now I can't remember. Did you ever read the book?
I did not.
Okay.
That is a fun fact about me, I guess. I did not. I'm not a reader per
well, I mean,
se.
to be fair, I listened to the audiobook. So,
Well,
but still,
that's
yeah.
fine. I'm not even really that. So I always have heard, books are better than movies, blah, blah, blah. But no, I did not read it. And I've heard that the remake is more true to the book.
It is. The Henry Bowers in the book, the stuff that he does to all of the losers, like that rock fight that happened in both of the films, that didn't happen in the book, if I'm not mistaken, until like 3/4 of the way through the book. Like
Really?
you go through you see these losers go through so much hell with Patrick Hockstetter and Belch and, all these, bullies and then Henry. And it was kind of this moment, like when they finally fought back, dude, it was so satisfying. It was like after everything that they did, he poisons and kills Mike's dog. He obviously there was the whole race thing that was going on because it was the 50s and everything. So like that was his main driving force was that in the book, but it was and it was so messed up because in the book he kills his dog. And like it was like for something to the effect of that, like I guess like Mike and his family weren't home, but they like had this dog that was outside, like that had like this obviously like a dog house, and I think he fed him cyanide. And like in the way that he just looks at him as the life leaves him, and he's like, you like that? Like it's like he's like talking to this dog, and he goes home and tells his dad what he did, and his dad is so proud of him that what he did, he gives him a beer for the first time, and they bond.
Really?
Dude, like, yeah. So like, I was, this is going to sound really wrong, but like, I was kind of mad that they didn't have that in the newer movie because it showed how much deeper his messed up mentality was. But yeah.
They kind of based his dad off of like, he didn't condone that stuff though.
No, he didn't. And I liked that. God, Henry Bauer's dad was just so different in the book. Like it was such a different mentality. I mean, like that was one of the, like, because I don't know if you noticed, like when you and I saw that movie in the theater, because Eric and I went and saw Chapter 1 together for the very first time. And it was actually at one of our local theaters, and they showed it.
Both of them.
We did. Yeah. It was because what was it? I called you that week.
I had no idea that we got an early showing for both.
Yeah, it's really cool because basically, essentially, I don't know if this is how all of them work, but I know that the theater that's near us, they're not a part of a chain of like Regal or like, Movies 10 or whatever. So they're actually allowed to show their movies a day before they technically come out. So we saw both Chapter 1 and 2 on Thursday, the Thursday before the Friday that they were supposed to come out.
Yes.
But when Henry Bowers walked into the house after finding his knife and pushed it into his dad's neck and just hit the button, that scene is literally motion for motion and moment for moment from the book. That is exactly, he killed his dad in the book because essentially they kind of took it as in a way like that Pennywise possessed him.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, it's dude, that's a really good one. Henry Bowers. I'm mad that I didn't think about that because I of all characters, I should have chosen that one. But it's
kind of a weird twist because the fact that you think of the villain, which I mean, he still 100% is, but you think of the villain and it is Pennywise.
Yeah.
And like I said, the reason why I feel like Henry Bowers took the cake over Pennywise is like we talked about is the fact that Pennywise is the monster.
Yeah.
Henry Bowers is a human being that is just a foul human being. So
to me, that's scarier.
Exactly.
Excuse me. Yeah.
He he makes a conscious decision to do the things that he does.
Yeah. And it's the no matter what version of Henry Bowers that you look at, the original, the new remake, the book.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it is all of them like Steve
Bury you.
Yeah, it's like you're gonna die. Like, yeah, I mean, because I think that was kind of the genius thing was that's how they were able to pin all the murders on him because anybody ever heard was him screaming, "I'm gonna kill you, you're gonna die." Like that's all they ever heard.
Right.
But
all right. Right.
So we
could get into this again for hours. So let's,
we both have one left.
Correct.
So okay, I think we may have the same thing.
Okay.
So on the count of 3, I want us to say what our villain is, but regardless of what it is, I want you to take over yours. So that way we can, like, if it's the same thing, we can continue our conversation. But then if it's different, then I want you to take it first and I'll finish us. So, so we'll give this a shot. We'll see what happens. I don't know. So, all right. Okay. It's just the first name of the person. I don't even know the last name of the thing.
Okay.
So
hold on. Okay. I'm telling you, it's not good. Okay.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Nicolas
Thanos.
Cage and
Nicholas. Okay. What?
John Travolta.
Face Off.
Face Off.
Dude, that is a good choice. I love that. That is so cool.
We're gonna touch. Wow.
Thanos was not on your list. That's crazy.
No. And do you know what's funny is I'm going to shout somebody out, and I was going to do this anyways, but my stepdaughter, basically, she's 8 years old, and I told her about this podcast tonight, and I explained the situation, and understandably so, she kind of took it as a like superhero villain,
right?
But without missing a beat. The second it like left my mouth, she said Thanos.
Good for her.
Like,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
She's 8.
That is so cool, dude. I love that so much.
She watched almost every single one of the movies. And I'm talking not just the Avenger movies, but like she watched almost all of the Iron Mans, all of the Thors, all of the
the MCU. Like she watched all the
yes.
right.
Like not literally all of them, but she got real close.
Mm-hmm.
She saw the important ones, I guess I should say.
Yeah, right. There's like 2 or 3 of them you can skip, and it doesn't matter like at all. But yeah,
but that was really funny that Riley was just without hesitation. She said Thanos.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, whoa, yeah, and it just was kind of reassuring that she pays attention enough to that stuff. And because she is a girly girl, but she is a tomboy at the same time. So it was, it's really refreshing because, she enjoys those things with you. And that was really cool. So yeah. Anyways, so do you want to go on yours or do you want to go on mine?
Oh no, I want to go on yours because a part of me kind of wanted to end with Thanos for a very particular reason.
Okay.
I was kind of hoping it would go that way, but I'm really interested to see what you have to say. So,
I guess more so than anything, the biggest thing for me was you saw like the glimpse of both, or not a glimpse, but of both characters being the bad guy, and they portrayed each other as the other person, if you will.
Yeah, for anybody that's not seen the movie, just in case, because it is an older movie, and I know my audience is a bit younger.
That's why I was saying something earlier about I've kind of grown up on some older things.
Well, and the thing is, actually, now that I think of it, I'm kind of mad that I didn't choose that one because that was like revolutionary when that happened. Like, they were in
their prime,
dude. That's because what we were watching the other night. Chris Stuckman's going to get a plug on my channel right now, but Chris Stuckman, who's a YouTuber, he's a movie critic. He actually just this past year reviewed the movie The Fanatic with John Travolta, which is a horrible movie. It's deplorable. It made only $3,000 at the box office.
You were just showing me the other night. watching me.
Yeah, watch me.
You were just showing me the other night
I watch you as you sleep.
the breakdown of that. That was kind of interesting.
Yeah. No, but the thing is that they were Chris Stuckman was talking about the fact that, John Travolta has, he started off with Staying Alive, which was just like, I mean, I have never actually sat down and watched it, but it was one of those things where it was like, I know that was like kind of like what rocketed his career for like for film. And he kind of made the argument where he was like, look, he's like, we know John Travolta has always loved kind of going like, over the edge or over the line with, a movie like Broken Arrow, where he's just like, this crazy, like, woo, what a rush. Oh, like, he's just like this like intense dude. And the fact that he has that dynamic to act like Nicolas Cage, who is a like, just like when you think of Nicolas Cage, I think 10 sees Nicolas Cage. Like, it's like, and he was able to do it. Like, it was so cool. So,
and he did it in such a way that wasn't too over the top.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what I mean. Like you got to see Nicolas Cage, be that way for a little bit at the beginning.
Yeah, well, because and then to explain the plot, that's what I was going to say. To explain the plot, essentially, Face Off is a movie with John Travolta, Nicolas Cage, and Nicolas Cage is a
it's literally in the name.
Yeah, it's Face Off. So literally, what it is that I don't know why they thought it was a good idea. But it's one I look at kind of like as it like movie logic, where it's like, this is just a really cool idea, which it was executed really well.
It really was, actually.
Yeah. But essentially what it was that Nicolas Cage was a psychotic, like just like killer, like everything. Like he was this like,
he was kind of like the Joker.
Yeah. And they took him in. He was sedated because he was taken in due to his medical injuries. And they basically said, look, we have the ability to literally surgically cut off his face, cut off yours, and then reattach it.
There was a bomb in the middle of, I think, Manhattan that was going to go off in like 72 hours. And the only person that knew the location was his little brother, which was, and he was in Riker Island, I believe.
That's right. It was the like serious maximum facility, like prison or maximum security prison. Yeah,
like super triple deep undercover type.
Yeah, but it was like such an ambitious thing where like they cut off the actual face and put it onto the.
Remember the movie at all?
Dude, I was so young when I watched it. The only thing I remember was the ending when he starts when it's Nicolas Cage, but it's John Travolta playing him, and it's so confusing when you're trying to talk about it. But like when he's like cutting his face, and he's like, "You're gonna look at this face in the mirror every single day," and he's like cutting it. Like that's the moment that stands out to me.
They did such a good job as far as like the time frame that it was made, and then like the visual effects were amazing in that movie. And then you're right, at the end, it gets kind of like cool, confusing because their voice boxes get messed up. So they're each other again, but they're still not each other's faces. And it's interesting. So that was my thing as far as a villain, because they were both the villain. Mm-hmm. And then also in the fact of they both played each other's characters
and like mannerisms and everything. Dude, because it was one of those things where like actually really recently, my good friend Buck, he brought over a movie with Ryan Reynolds, and I am blanking out on who the other guy is, but it's a movie called The Change Up, where they pee into a fountain together.
Oh, Jason Bateman.
Thank you. And Buck and I
that movie's phenomenal.
It's a great movie. It was me, Christy, and Buck watched it, and he said, "Dude, he's like
Freaky Friday, basically."
He basically, well, yeah, it was what he said was that he was like, it was so good how both of them acted like each other.
Yes.
We're like, he's like, when I left this movie, I literally thought, man, I'm really mad that I didn't get to see Ryan Reynolds in this movie. And he's like, wait, Ryan Reynolds was in this movie, but he was playing Jason Bateman. Like, that's like Ryan Reynolds and Jason Bateman do not get enough credit.
Sarcastic, lead.
Yeah.
He wasn't there. So he took Jason Bateman's more of like his kind of subtle, approach to everything.
He was a dad. Like he was
Yeah.
he was the stereotypical like 9 to
Jason
5 dad.
Bateman
Yeah.
was the one that was like in your face and like animated type thing.
Yeah.
And
It was so good, dude. Like
he
it was
did a really good job.
and that's the thing too, is like, I give Nicolas Cage a lot of crap a lot of times because like,
Let's be fair. It's bad. Now.
Well, yeah, it's a 90s movie. Like it's the 90s
No, what I'm
cornball,
saying
like,
is, with his career, but like in his day, he was fantastic.
Dude, Face Off. I was vaping when I was doing that. Don't vape, kids. No, but no, but it was just it was so wild just to see the two of them like, take on each other's mannerisms.
Yeah.
For instance, when Helena Bonham Carter was in Harry Potter, there's the scene in the Deathly Hallows where Hermione turns into Bellatrix the Strange. And she turns into like one of the Death Eaters, which is Helena Bonham Carter's character. The way they did the scene with when Bellatrix, which is Hermione, she goes up to Gringotts bank and she's like, I wish to go into my vault. Helena Bonham Carter watched Emma Watson do that scene first and literally like that caught her mannerisms and then went in and then did exactly what she did.
Oh, she followed her.
Yeah, dude, it was wild. So like somebody actually made a post about it. They're like, think about this. This is Helena Bonham Carter doing an impression of Hermione, who's doing an impression of her. Like, it's like, dude, like, and she nailed it. Like, it's like, that is what makes an amazing actor. Like, it's like or
she
actress.
Played herself,
like, it's
basically.
Yeah, but it was like that little inflection of like, like the way she did she talked about it, like the whole lip, like chin thing that Hermione does. Like where she's like, I wish to go into my vault, and she would like move her chin. Like it was just like, oh god, it was. And John Travolta and Nicolas Cage both did that. Like that's
what I mean. They nailed that role.
Damn near pioneered it. Like it was like
for each other. And can we talk real quick about a runner up?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah,
Jack Sparrow.
Jack Sparrow. You think he's a good villain?
I mean, he's a pirate.
Yeah, I'm a pirate. Yeah.
When he pulls the gun on Orlando Bloom and he's like, "You cheated." He's like, "Pirate."
I'm a pirate. Yeah, he is a bad guy. Yeah, that's a really good point. I never thought of it like that.
That one just kind of came to me in a sense, like that wasn't necessarily a major one, but it was like, he is the bad guy.
But that's one of the very few films that the antagonist is the protagonist of the film.
Yes,
it's a really interesting.
What I was getting ready to say. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So
no,
I wasn't trying to steal your thunder.
You're right. And so that was a quick runner up. And then we were going to get to Thanos here.
Thanos. Okay. So we are actually going to take a phone call here in a second. We're going to talk about Thanos, and then
did he respond?
It did. Yeah. So we're going to actually call somebody here soon to get an idea of what their thought is on what their favorite villain is. And he just responded to me in text, and what he had said, I don't want to misquote him. He said, and I quote, "Yeah, I think I got a pretty different one. I don't know how much I got to say or how long, but yeah, let's do it." So he probably has a good one. So I said, "All right, sweet, I'll let you know when." So he's ready anytime, whenever we're done talking about Thanos.
Now do you want to go with that one, and maybe he can stay on the line and talk about Thanos?
We can do that.
Let's do that.
Let's do that. Yeah, let's call him. Let's call him. All right, so we are officially calling our cousin Alan. We're going to see if he picks up.
What up?
Hey, Alan, you are officially live on the Kyle Wright 425 podcast. Can you hear me well?
Oh, yes, I can.
All right. What about Eric? How about give us a little vocal here, Eric? Can he hear you?
Yeah. What's up, man?
Yep, I can hear Eric.
Awesome, man. So, okay. So I want to get to your villain because I'm really curious as to what you think. But we are actually talking about Thanos from Infinity War and Endgame, the Avengers movies.
That's what we're ending with, as far as that was Kyle's last.
Absolutely.
Villain.
Yeah, so so we've been talking this whole time. So I'm curious, like, would you? I think that pretty much the three of us. I mean, you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, but I think unanimously we all agree that he was the best, like a part of that entire
he was
film.
One of them. He wasn't in mine, but like, yeah, we could all definitely talk about if yours was different.
I would say, yeah, I would go with Thanos is pretty high up there, but I was gonna go probably way left field with this.
Ooh.
Probably catch everybody off guard.
I love it, man. So hit me with it. What do you got?
I got Hollywood Hulk Hogan.
Oh
no way! That's actually really cool, dude. You went off on a whole different thing. I love that.
Like a real life villain, almost.
I don't know. I didn't listen to the rest of the show, so I don't know where you guys were at. But I figured, villain wise, he went from the real American hero to the black and white NWO, where he was like all the little kids. Excuse me, pardon me. He went to breaking the rules and not caring, from the American, like I just said, where he was just training, saying his prayers and eating his vitamins to now we're gonna cheat. I'm gonna win. I'm going to keep this belt. I'm going to break the rules or whatever I have to do. And I just thought that he really did a good job at that. I think he played the bad guy better than he played
a good guy.
Now,
I don't know.
No, that's very true.
I don't know if that's just because maybe the good guy role was so cliche, but I just think that when he became the bad guy, his character just evolved so much better.
No, he's right.
Yeah.
I didn't watch wrestling all of my life. I watched it as a younger kid and through some of my teenage years. And Alan's right that he was a bad guy for a while, and it was kind of crazy to see him rise to this weird fame and stardom as this kind of, again, like douchey, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it was weird.
Now you guys can fill me in on this. Was he just straight up heel, or was he kind of like the anti-hero?
Oh no, he was a heel. He turned completely.
Okay.
Like, he came out as a good guy still, but then turned his back on it was the WCW, and then the NWO had came. They were just the outsiders. It was just Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, but
now
he turned on.
Now I'm curious.
I believe Sting.
What was the thing that turned him heel? Do you remember what that was? Because I have no idea. I didn't keep up with that side of things.
I don't remember that either.
I believe it was just the pure shock of who else could we turn to the bad guy?
Yeah.
If anybody else just turns to a bad guy, it's just an ordinary day. But when it's the American hero, everybody's crying in the audience, like, what just happened? They're throwing stuff in the ring at him and everything, and he was just taking it and still staying into his bad guy character.
Right.
That's why I was like, wow, he really took that role. And I think he really grasped a deeper part of his character and was like, I'm better at bad guy.
Yeah, you can find your niche, Yeah, for sure.
I'm glad that I think maybe that I explained a little bit to Alan like the villain part about, I went kind of left field. I told him about John Bender.
Yeah, right.
So maybe he wasn't just thinking of something like traditional. So that's really cool because he didn't.
Yeah, because
I didn't want to go because like I said, I didn't hear you guys, and if I tried to stay in the same theme, I might have hit something you guys had already said.
So do you want to, should we break down for him real quick? That way he knows, maybe he can have a little bit of input.
Yeah. So I'll run through mine just real quick, just that way he can just kind of get an idea, and then we'll run through yours. So Thanos obviously is the last one that I was talking about, that I feel like to me, arguably, I would say that he's probably a perfect villain, and I'll get into why here in a second. Sure. But so Thanos obviously is the last one. Then there was obviously the Joker from The Dark Knight, Heath Ledger. He deserves all the credit about being a villain without a doubt. And then the next one was Colonel William Tavington, and he was the main bad guy in the movie The Patriot.
Okay, I honestly haven't seen that one yet.
Really?
So
Wow.
I can't comment on that.
I was gonna say that was one of them, and then Higgs from the video game Death Stranding. That was another one from me. And then there was the other one was Miss Carmody, who was or Comedy or Carmody. I can't remember how they pronounced her name exactly. I spelled it Kar. I don't know if that was how it's supposed to be, but she was the main antagonist in Stephen King's The Mist. It was a short story that they turned into a movie, and she was just brutal. She was a religious zealot kind of a thing. So those were mine. So you can, Eric, you can tell him what yours were.
Why don't we let him chime in? Well, so here's the thing: is Heath Ledger's Joker was a common one that me and Kyle had shared.
Yep.
So if I didn't know if maybe Alan wanted to chime in a little bit.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, for sure.
And then I can go through mine.
Yeah.
I definitely would agree with the Joker because that was a great movie, great film all around, and he played that character to a T. Like it was almost like he was living the Joker.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things I had mentioned kind of right off the rip was, do you think he got all these awards and it was such a good movie and role because he died? Because I don't.
No, I don't either. I think he probably would have got his own Joker film.
Right.
Oh God, could you imagine?
It happened earlier. You know what I mean? Like not just now.
I think he's absolutely right. I never thought of that.
Dude, that's you. Let me say this, Alan, is that I have delved into the Joker for so long, and I've been so limited in the thought of the fact that Heath Ledger died. We had a great, we had a great movie from him, but I never thought of it. It's like, what would a Heath Ledger Joker movie look like? Like that's really cool, dude. I love that.
Yeah. So he's absolutely right. I never actually thought about that. So, okay, so go ahead and kind of give your thoughts on it, because that was our thing that we got that out of the way, was that it's not because he died. He truly did a good job.
Yeah, what resonated with you with Heath Ledger? What really made you what made that have a lasting impression on you?
I don't know. Honestly, it was like I said, it was like he was living it. It wasn't like he was really trying hard. I don't know. It didn't seem like an act. He was like, I'm the Joker.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
He was the Joker.
I'm in the movie. I know this is called The Dark Knight, but this is my movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yes.
Dude. Yeah, dude. Oh, I love it.
Yes. He's absolutely right,
So,
because I
pretty
watched
much
that movie
before
just
the
for
Joker.
him.
Yeah.
Now,
it starts off, as soon as it starts, it's like, hey, it's the Joker taking over.
Now, it's the one thing I brought to Eric, and I've heard this said before, was they said that the brilliance of Heath Ledger was the fact that it wasn't so much that he became the Joker, but it was the fact that he disappeared completely. Like there was no shred of Heath Lledger in him. Like it was it was just, oh my God, I love that so much.
It didn't look like 10 Things I Hate About You.
We literally said the exact same thing. Yeah.
I was like, it didn't even look like him, and he didn't have a lot of prosthetics other than like the scars and then like the teeth. Everything else was just makeup. Legit makeup that apparently I found out that he bought from like the Drug Mart or something, and he did his own makeup himself.
Yeah, actually, not Thomas Jane. I'm sorry, I can't remember the guy that played Harvey. I can't remember his name, but he actually said that he was in the makeup chair getting his tracking marks for the Two-Face thing done, and he said Heath would be over in the corner getting into character next to him and putting on his makeup
himself.
Yeah, if you ever have time, watch the video of him talk. I don't know what video exactly it is, but if you can find it. I forgot
dude's name too. That's a dude from The Punisher.
Yeah.
And that weird movie Thursday.
Thursday?
I always watch. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. You guys should check it out.
There's a movie called Thursday.
Google it after you're done with the show.
I'm about it, man. I'm always about finding new stuff. Yeah.
But that's funny that Alan said, Rio said the same thing, because he disappeared.
Yeah.
And
that's,
and I said the same thing where like, you know, it didn't even look like him and it was crazy. And, you know, 10 Things I Hate About You. Like there's a definite difference, and even sound. Like I said, it didn't even sound like him.
Now, actually, it's this. I just thought of this since Alan's on the line. I can get a reaction out of the two of you because I don't know if you guys have ever thought about this. Do you guys realize that the Joker and Robin went to high school together in 10 Things I Hate About You?
Yeah.
It was just like, oh, that's kind
funny.
of awkward. You know, it's like, because, you know, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's like, you know, you played the, like, what I can't remember. I haven't watched 10 Things I Hate About You in a long time, but, yeah, but it's, oh, God, it's so good. All right. So as far as like Thanos is concerned now, I know that,
Go through mine.
I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, but if you're five.
No, he had, I mean, there was other things that you said. I don't know if he had any more chime-ins for your villains.
Honestly, I mean, like, because I don't know if did you recognize any of my other villains? Because I mean, I don't know if it's with Higgs and.
All right, if there it goes right now.
All right.
Okay.
So he'll probably know at least a few more. One of mine was, like I said, John Bender from Breakfast Club, and it was just because, like I said, he was misunderstood and all that stuff. And then one of them was the Predator.
Right.
Like Arnold Schwarzenegger Predator, and then Face Off, Nicolas Cage and John Travolta, like both characters, I guess, combined.
Yeah, because they both play each other.
Yeah, and then the last one was Henry Bowers from It. I don't know if you remember him. I know you don't necessarily keep up with like movies like that, but I don't know if you remember that character or not. He was kind of like the jerk kid and everything.
All right. Yeah, I kind of remember, but it's a while since I've seen it. I haven't seen the new one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so those were mine.
Yeah, it was we had very, very different things because I think we both knew that we were both going to have Heath Ledger, but it was kind of like, what's the other four?
Yeah.
You know,
I'd like to sprinkle a Michael Myers in there.
Yeah,
yeah. I almost went with him too.
Now
just because he's so nonchalant and
yeah,
he don't run or nothing. He just always pops up out of nowhere.
Have you guys ever wondered what's happening like when the camera's not looking at him? Like how insanely fast he's running? Like I
think he does the Bugs Bunny thing because he creeps behind trees and stuff, and then
right,
yeah. It's because that's what blew my mind about like seeing the remake for Friday the 13th was that the trailer for it when like I saw it in theaters, like when I did not saw the movie in theaters, but saw the trailer for Friday the 13th, the remake in theaters, was the ending of the trailer was Jason running towards the girl that was crawling away from him. And it was like the second.
That was different.
Yeah, it was like I remember reposting that on Facebook and being like, Jason runs now. Yeah. He runs. I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be great. And the movie sucked. So I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
all right, Thanos then, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
So now, Alan, how familiar are you with Thanos? I don't know how much of a Marvel nerd or like how much you've kept up with the MCU. Like where are you at with that?
I mean, the only thing I know is I've seen both of those movies.
Okay.
The last two.
Good. Okay. That at least helps because I mean, especially there's so much that happens in those two movies that like explains like, you know,
and
what he is, why he is, and everything.
To be fair, you know, Alan is not as much of a movie and TV guru as we are. Like it's not his thing,
right? I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted to hear what you had to say, because like pulling out like that Hulk Hogan thing, it's like, dude, I never would have thought of that,
right?
You know, and that's such a cool thing. It's like that actually that might be my favorite like one that we've talked about so far, because it's so different.
Actually,
you know?
I kind of agree, just because it is. He's right. It's so left field that it worked.
Yeah,
and
it's because
one of those where you're like, oh my God. And I guess to touch base back on it was, like I said, it was kind of a real thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't a movie.
Right.
But it was like a real person that was this villain.
Right.
Yeah. It's cool, man. And it's
because it's a gimmick or whatever. It's an act,
Well,
but it
sure.
was live. So
Yeah,
Like,
it's
he
that's like a
was
bonus.
that.
it's just, dude, it's so wild, man. I love that. It's I like I said, it's like, you know, I love
What's that?
hearing
I was trying to think of
off the wall things.
something different.
No, you definitely did. That's what's refreshing about it was neither one of us thought of anything like that. I
No.
think the most
It's-
off the wall thing that we had was Kyle's Death Strand, like a video game, you know?
Yeah, and the thing is with that one too is like the reason why I chose Higgs, just to fill you in, was Higgs is a character that essentially wants to see the entirety of existence, not even humanity, but he wants the entire universe basically to come to an end. It's like a mass extinction. It's this idea of like the way he describes it is that it's this antimatter that will basically void out life. Like
Yeah.
there's like it's almost kind of like a mercy killing in a way of like, you know, where it's like, look, we're screwed up. Humans have 100,000 years left tops. Let's just end it. And it's like, who the hell thinks like that? You know, so
It is pretty interesting.
but
right, yeah, let's go back on this.
with Thanos, what really intrigued me about him, and there's the scene that I mean, you guys can agree or disagree, but what really did it for me to make me realize that like this guy's not an evil prick. Like
No.
there is not a shred of. I mean, I'm quoting somebody here that's already said this on a podcast, and I don't want to steal the whole thing, but it's like there is not a shred of doubt in Thanos. Like he knows that this is what has to happen, and the fact that that movie literally made me a couple of times go, you know what, Thanos has got a point.
Yeah.
Like it's
Oh,
like
yeah,
like
absolutely.
like dude, it's like how screwed up is that, where it's like, you know, because people have made the argument where it's like, well, he has the Infinity Gauntlet, why didn't he just double the resources since he had the ability of the universe? And somebody made a point where they're like, that's not the point. The point is that even if he did double the resources, people would still
We just overrun it still.
Exactly. And it's one of those things where it's like he literally was just like, look, like we are just going to indiscriminately kill half of the entirety of the population of the world. And it's just like
With the Thanos virus.
yeah, right. Yeah. It's just like, yeah, that was the coronavirus before we realized it. Yeah. So the Thanos virus.
I was just going to say that the coronavirus before the
We're immediately going to get flagged because we said corona. Like it's just going to
That's what I'm drinking.
no, but it was just dude, it was so cool. And like, but the scene I'm talking about was when he went to go get the Soul Stone, and Red Skull is there. I mean, spoiler warning for anybody that's not seen Infinity War. You've had 3 years or so to see it, so whatever. But
If you're that far behind, then you know what? You deserve to get spoiled.
if you're that far behind, you probably shouldn't even listen to this podcast. Anybody that
You
follows
probably
me,
should have already cut it off.
yeah, right. No, but it was the moment that Gamora is listening to Red Skull basically talk about, like, you know, what you have to do to get the Soul Stone, that you have to essentially trade a soul for the soul, and it's like you have to lose the thing that you love. And she is so like, she's like, you're an evil prick, you love nothing, like this is your downfall. And he turns around and he's weeping because he knows it's like, I'm going to kill her, because he's like, I have to he's like, I have to save the universe. Like he's like, there, like it was such a different mentality that I've never seen from a villain before, where it's like, how many times have you seen a villain in a movie or just a story in general like cry because of the decision that they're about to make, where it's like, I know I have to do this, but I'm about to literally kill the one thing that I love, and it's my daughter. Like it's just, and
most of the time it's a villain taking something for power or just because, but
yeah,
he was doing it for the greater good, as they say.
Yeah, well, and the thing is too is like somebody actually made the argument that they were like, what if the snap, when he finally did snap on the Infinity Gauntlet, what if he would have dusted? You know, it's like, would he have still done it? You know, it's like, is there selfishness in him?
Did he know that though?
He didn't. I would make the argument that he didn't. I think that it was like he indiscriminately killed half of the universe.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure that even if he had to die, he would still do it.
Probably.
Like he believed in it that much that it needed to happen that bad.
Yeah, because I don't think he was like selfish to the point where he'd be like, well, everybody has to die except me. He'd accept the fact that he would have to die too if he had to die.
Yeah, and
I think he would just come to peace with it and be like, all right, fine, if that's what it takes for the universe.
Interesting.
Thanos to me, like it's the way that so the kind of where I derive this mentality of like how much I revere the character is from it's from a podcast called Cinema for Cynics. And it's actually on YouTube, and they do a show called Counterpointless, where essentially they talk about movies they'll maybe talk about older stuff, but they clearly talked about Infinity War because it was like a cultural phenomenon, like it was like this big deal, and they were talking about like how ballsy it was, where it's like, dude, that to me, that's one of the very few movies besides Jeepers Creepers where it's like, hallelujah, the villain won. Like, it's like he won at the end of Infinity War.
That is true.
Like, dude, it's like, that's so crazy. And the craziest thing too is that like we talked about the idea of like Jack Sparrow like being like the antagonist, but he's the protagonist.
Oh yeah, Alan, that was my like kind of runner up was Jack Sparrow, because he's like, well, he's a pirate, so he is a bad guy,
right?
But he's still
Jack Sparrow is crazy.
Yeah, like he's crazy, but he's funny and witty and all these things. But in the end, he is still kind of a genuine person.
Yeah,
but he's a pirate.
Yeah, and that's so ballsy, dude. Like, it's like the fact that like they kind of alluded to, when Doctor Strange is talking to Thanos and he's like, say that you do this, what are you gonna do after you're done? And he's like, I'll finally rest and I'll sit and watch the sunset on a.
Exactly what he did.
Dude, he sat down and smiled and looked at the sunset.
Over.
And did you? I don't know if you guys know this or not, but the Russer brothers actually. Do you know what their original ending was going to be? And I would have been so pissed, but it would have been so genius if they would have ended it where they did.
I know. Did I hear this? I might have. I don't know.
Alan, do you know? Have you heard this?
Oh no.
Somebody actually edited it and put it together as hey, what if? And the Russell brothers were like, that was actually our first draft before we changed it.
Get out of here.
When Thanos looked at Thor and said, you should have gone for the head, and snapped, and he yelled no, it went to black and said directed by Anthony and Joe Russo. And that's where they wanted to originally end Infinity War, was that you didn't see any of them dust. You didn't see, it was literally just going to end right there, but they knew that there would be.
I should have did that.
But they said that it was a good idea, but they were like, dude, there will be riots. Like, people will
I don't care. I think they should have did that.
Yeah, it's just, dude, it's
that's a way. That dust shit.
Dude, I love it, man. It's Thanos is just such an interesting character because it's like, number one, Josh Brolin did a fantastic job playing him. And then secondly, there was never a time in that movie. And I don't know if you guys agree with this or not, but there was never a time that I looked at him and thought he was fake.
No.
It was
good too.
It was the only time in my life that I was not thinking about, this is a CGI character. I was like, oh my God, what's going to happen next? Like, this is Thanos we're talking about. And it's the fact that he shows up already with 2 stones or the 1 stone. And then he immediately gets the second one. And it's like, okay, there's 4 left. Like, it's like, what the hell is going to happen? But also it's like, he's not an evil prick, because it's like, he cares about Gamora. Like, you see the whole flashback of like him, once again, this is a Cinema for Cynics thing. They talked about this, but it was like, when he's showing her the knife and how it like balances on his finger, he's like, look at this. He's like, it's perfectly balanced as everything should be. And literally in that moment, her entire planet, like half of it is being slaughtered.
He's distracting her.
Yeah. And it's like, but like the way that Paul Zigo on Cinema for Cynics said it was that he shields her, but gently, like, no, look at this. You'll get this. Look at this.
Right.
It's like, it was such a different thing. And it was the fact that it's like, he's a dad, like he cares about his kid. It's like, he has already adopted this girl and been like, you're mine. And, it's like, once again, quoting Paul, but yeah, it's just.
The other interesting thing about him, and I think kind of the same thing with the Joker was, I mean, actually the Joker did get allowed a few times, but Thanos was never like loud and intense.
There was only one moment when he yelled "come on" to Iron Man when he shot the rockets at him. That was it.
but he was very calm all the time, and that's kind of what makes it a little more like eerie.
Well, because he had a plan and he knew he was going to conquer it.
Yeah.
Like, he was confident.
Yeah.
So he didn't have nothing to be angry about.
Or worried, yeah.
Yeah, well, because it's like, the fact that, he
like,
has the, because...
I'm going to get these stones, and that's all there is to it.
Well, especially because, like, the way that he even took down the Hulk, where it was just like, because, like, he basically messed him up like it was like a Mike Tyson fight. And it was just like he took him down. It's like the most powerful thing in their arsenal just got their ass whooped.
Why didn't we think of him? He was a real villain.
I mean, we're idiots. Mike Tyson should have been. I'm mentally kicking. I'm mentally kicking one of them out right now.
We skipped Mike Tyson.
But no, man, Thanos to me was just like he was fantastic, man. Like that was to me like it is the perfect villain, because somebody actually made the declaration that they said that they believe that Thanos is the best villain created since like Darth Vader. Like as far as like a cultural like phenomenon kind of a thing. Like it's like they're like Thanos has fans now because of Infinity War and Endgame. Like it's like
I'd probably give it that.
That's once again, it's like there's no like wrong answers like that. That's just like my opinion. I think that's he's fantastic. And fun fact too, apparently he's not done in the MCU. They're going to do more with him. Like they're going to do like more stuff. Yeah, they said apparently they're going to do more stuff from like the past, or like maybe
pretty cool.
Yeah, either that. Well, also too, they've got the whole multiverse thing now, so they can do like maybe they'll run into him later or something, like when he's still like the Mad Titan. Like before he got the Infinity Stones, kind of similar how they ended like Endgame, but yeah. It's just
that'll be cool.
Yeah,
I'll
man.
look forward to that.
But either way, Alan, well, hey man, I appreciate you jumping on here with us. This has been a lot of fun, man. Right. So I'll definitely
I'll be glad to do it again.
For sure, man. Well, hey man, you enjoy the rest of your night, brother. We will talk to you later. Eric, anything else you want to say?
No, I think this went really well, and yeah, Alan, thanks again for being with us. And actually, we'll have to try to get him in here sometime too.
Alan is going to be a guest on here because Alan he's got his music and everything. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about what it's like to be in the scene and the people he's interacted with. So yeah,
different on our music, and this could be a very interesting chat, if you will. And I think that should be something that whoever is listening now should tune into, because you could be opened up to a lot of different things. But yeah, so
for sure, man. But all right, well, hey,
Alan, yeah.
All right, well, hey, man, you enjoy the rest of your night, brother, and we will talk at you later. All right.
All right, guys.
All right,
have
man,
a good one.
All right, see you, bud.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, I cut him off a little too soon. This is my first podcast doing this one like this, so there's going to be some hiccups in here and there, but regardless, man, I think we've had a really good discussion. I love this. It's like we got to hear about it. But regardless, guys, you have officially heard what our favorite villains are. So if I'm curious as to what, because this one's going to be posted on YouTube, and if you've been listening this long, first off, thank you very much. We're going to continue to do this, and what basically the way this is going to work is that this first episode of the podcast is going to be posted on YouTube, as well as Spotify. And if you enjoy this, if this is something that you want to hear, and if you dig what we're talking about, the way we talk about things, and just like how the whole structure is, go ahead and follow us on Spotify. Because that's going to be an area where a place that we're going to be posting stuff, like probably like every other week we'll be posting a new one on there, as well as the scary stories and stuff that people send into my email and everything. So, but if you have a scary story that you want to send it to KyleWright425@gmail.com. And other than that, I think that we pretty much have drawn this to a very good conclusion. Eric, is there anything else that you would like to say? He's snapping my picture right now because he's going to post stuff. So I did like 3 hand gestures there. You guys didn't see any of that. So, but no, is there anything else you want to close us off with, or anything that you're feeling?
No, I think this went really well. I think the discussion was pretty good, brief and short and sweet. So I think this was a really good first start to everything you're trying to do here. And, so honestly, we have a lot of things we can discuss, so I really am interested to see what your fan base wants us to talk about, and future guests and stuff as well.
Yeah, because the 4 other ideas that I put, because I put out 5 different topics for us to talk about on YouTube. I did a poll, and our favorite villains was the top one that was chosen. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put out the next 4. and then see out of those 4 whatever ones that people want to hear, and then we'll do those, and then we'll just keep knocking them down, and then we'll go from there. Because all 4 of those that we have, their stuff we can talk about for hours on those.
God,
so
we had to shorten this.
yeah, right, yeah. So
it'll probably be like that, especially between me and you. If it goes really anything, you can even say any type of situation, music, movies, anything like that, where we can just sit here for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah, and this is actually like one of the reasons why I wanted to do this is that this is
what we would do anyways.
Yeah, it's just like this is your chance. Like, and I kind of took it from the mentality of like what Ryan Connolly from Film Right, because I showed you some of the stuff that I was basing this kind of off of, was that there are fans out there that love the content that I make, and they want to know like what conversations look like behind closed doors. Of like why we think the things that we do, like, because this podcast, I want this to be a place where we don't dog on people. I want to talk about stuff that gets us excited. I want to talk about things that we love. Like, when we can talk about real issues, we can, like if there's whatever's like, going on in the world and everything, like we can talk about that stuff. But in the same hand, it's like, I kind of want to be a breath of fresh air. I want to do something that's like, people can come here and kind of forget about things for a little bit. And just, just like, I don't want to be a, I'm not going to name anybody, but it's like, I don't want to be a podcast where it's like, we just rip apart the left or the right. Like, I don't want to do that. Like, I want to be able to be here for people to enjoy,
this is definitely something that for the most part we can discuss, and any type of future guest of any sort can discuss anything and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really
is.
Yeah, this is a platform that I want anybody to be able to come on. Yeah,
to any type of like genre or situation. So yeah.
So, but regardless, guys, hey, this has been an awesome time. We've really enjoyed this. But regardless, if you guys make sure to check out the more podcasts that are going to be coming out here in the next couple of months and everything that's going to be going on from there. But regardless, thank you all for hanging with us. This has been a great time, and we will talk at you guys on the next one. Eric, you want to give a goodbye?
Later, guys.
Au revoir. See you guys later.